Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're taking a look at the live versions of the battle mission from Street Woman Fighter Season 2. So I do know that there are multiple facets to how the criteria works. We have a Section A, a Section B, and a Section C, each with different requirements, and so for this, we're going to be taking a look at each crew's individual sections. I'm pretty pumped about it. It's going to be great. I've already analyzed A and C from all crews, gave my thoughts there. If you're curious, I'll tag them below in the corresponding sections of these videos. Definitely intrigued at some of the results I've already been hearing about, but I'll get into that whenever I get into the analysis. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I remember I loved what Bebe did here. This whole section. Yeah, that's in reference to K-pop. Yep. We're gonna be seeing a lot of that here. Yeah. Gosh, Bada is on right now. Ooh. They're hitting this track so tastefully well. The energy and how they're hitting a lot of the staccato is so much more elevated here. Oh, I love the top rocks that they're choosing here. Very similar to what we've seen from Wolflow. So freaking clean. Yeah! Yeah. I like that they're facing Wolflow more here than they were in the first one. And I know the wordplay on that was really cool. So she went early, is what it looked like. And they did a zoom in there.
저희는 이거 진짜 도전이에요.
뭐야? 무치 아니야? 이빨 무치라!
정말 다양한 걸 가지고 있는 사람들이고 기대할 수 있는 크루다라는 걸 좀 보여드리고 싶어요. 다시 왼손이 끌려는 찰나에 노래가 시작됩니다.
아, 큰일 났다.
If somebody can provide context as to the background on why they made the choices they did, because I know there's dialogue there.
이를 갈고 준비하셨구나.
The energy is different here, which is really nice. I like that. I think she's referencing the sexy dance. They're like, it's because you had to do our sexy dance that you're probably able to do that. I like that. That one looks way better here. I like that here. That was cool.
너무 예쁜 울플러다 오늘.
Yeah, this reads a lot better here than whenever we saw it with the camera. Okay, so I've already mentioned this before. I'm going to probably say it in pretty much every video. I've already analyzed the choreography of sections A and C, so I will not touch on it as much here. I'm just going to touch on the differences of execution. But I would say, Bebe, this was probably one of the best runs they have ever done on this show. Was that right there. Was so nice. I would say, though, my big note, there was somebody that did go early. And the only reason why, if I saw this, and the only reason why I would have said something, because of the camera zoom in. And I've already seen it, right? But I don't think it took away from the effect of what it was. Just the energy they did here. Her wordplay is always executed great. If you notice that Bada is in her element here. Some people, whenever they're under adrenaline or under the pressure and influence of a live audience, they turn down, they become more muted, they mark, they look down, their body becomes more tense. Then there's people that are like Bada, who rev it up, turn it up, and they turn in, they kind of have this super, it's like a superpower, how they can execute certain textures in such an elevated way that sometimes getting the adrenaline from an audience really can kind of ensue for someone. And I think that's definitely what we're seeing here. And I'm seeing that from most everybody, not just Bada, but she just has more natural features. But everybody is engaged and everybody is on the same level of execution, and that is really, really important when you're operating as a group. And because if it was just Bada who was operating like that and everybody else was just kind of there, it would read that way. But here it feels like everybody is approaching this and attacking it equally, and I have so much respect for that. And I absolutely love what they chose to do. The energy, it's important to engage your audience and to provide those moments. I also think, based on how they're showing Trix, it appears that Trix, he's more influenced off of how Bebe is approaching with their choreo. It's more of an attack to the track. I love that. They also, the fact is, we gotta know the versatility of Bebe, the fact that their track has a really big, heavy nuance of like feminine bad A vibes, and I loved their crew preview, by the way. If you haven't seen that, I got a whole video on all of them. I reacted to them all. So the fact that that was their track that Wolflow had to replicate, but they can approach and attack Wolflow's track like this, it just shows you their diversity. And I'm really thinking it's looking really good for them when it comes to a spot in the finals, if I do say so myself. That reads so aggressive, like it's so clear there, very strong. I love that. Everyone's like this. So clean. And they have these moments of pedestrianness, which I love whenever I see crews do that, because it shows that you're so familiar and fluent with your craft that you're able to be comfortable enough to break character, if that makes sense, or tap into a different character that a lot of people are too fearful to approach or take because it can be deemed or it can be seen as, oh, I have to always attack and give my best. Sometimes the best is holding back, right? And I think it just shows the push and pull of how they're bringing about the choreography. It's so impressive. It really did. It really is. Boom. This right there, that does feel very similar to what Wolflow did. That's a top rock sequence we see them do often, but honestly that's just what you see often in the style, and I love it. And how they did it was really well done. That right there was so clean. How everybody even cocked the gun and then shot it, that was so pristine. With the slow, I feel like we're used to seeing Bebe do that kind of slow motion, but they didn't hang out there. They used it as a taunt. Boy, love that. That right there, I will still say this, the toe touch, I don't know if that is something that is her signature or in reference to something. I really wish it was a different jump, but it was way bigger here and more technically clean here than it was in the camera work. It didn't feel as displaced, but I really love the peel off into that moment. I will say, it's just a thing. If they made a different jump choice, it could have read a little differently or more impactful and not quite as disconnected. Because for me in my culture, a toe touch, cheer. So it feels more mechanical. It feels more strict and stiff, if that makes sense. Because you have to be whenever you're doing a toe touch in the sky when you're in a pyramid. But hear and maybe read differently, and that's 100% okay. That's preferential. It still left an impact on your audience, and you need an audience score because it does weigh heavier for this challenge. I love the bleed through here. I think that was my only moment that I noticed that the energy wasn't quite 100% with all three. She was giving 150. They were giving about 85. But all of them were still good, and it actually worked in their favor. The fact that my two on the outside, they were the ones that matched the energy together. She matched the middle. If anything, it made her look like a feature, even though they were also supposed to be operating, all three of them. Love that moment. It's still very risky to go with that. They break it down. It just made it look like she was a feature because everybody committed and she still committed to it. But then when you see them all do it at the end, that's when you realize, oh, she went early. Possibly. But even then, they could have made it. It still worked. And you can tell on her face, too. Then she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just made a mistake. Honestly, out of anything, that was the mistake you made. It was still impactful and it was still wonderful. So that was a really, really great run from them. Now this right here, I have no idea. I have, as you can tell, I have my English. It converts Korean to English, but I don't think it's not. So I have no idea what they're saying here. There's a reason why they chose the chair. People are asking chair. There's a reason. I love the techniques they're choosing to do. They're choosing to go about very robotic animation because of that the twinkling in the back reminds you of a music box, and a lot of times you see people hit that kind of timbre of a music box in that way. So it is really nice. It's a great setup. I will say I do stand by everything I mentioned about the fingers. I think some of these things read way better here than they did in the camera. That right there, it just wasn't nearly as clean as it needed to be when you have fingers that have the feathers, you know, and if everybody's operating at a different angle and it's supposed to be unison, you're really asking for people to micro look at your stuff. How many did that there was really nice. Her emotion was way more impactful, I think, in that choice. I like that. Very nice. But also all of that happened towards Bebe, which I do appreciate, but it can operate as a disadvantage to the audience as well as your fight judges. They're not seeing a full picture of it, and I think that is something that Bebe did well, is they did a mix of both. That was nice how Halo chose to really pull and be used by the chair. I think that was really, really nice in comparison to whenever they did in front of the camera. Yeah, so I'm assuming that's what Leah said, was something along those lines. Back up, back up. This red was way cooler, which was really cool. Back into the line. This was cool that they're doing this to the front. So cool. This whole sequence looks way better here than we saw it before. That peel down, it's either cleaner, but just I think like we're really able to see what they're doing a lot more with the clothes. This is a very different vibe that Wolflow's doing, and it's a risk that they're taking. Do we think that they're going to be rewarded for it? I don't know. I know some of you do know. That's really nice, just the framing that they did here. And it's tailoring to everybody around with the peel out. Kind of reminds me of a peacock almost, which is kind of cool. And I actually really like the fact that they tried this approach, because it is, normally you would see Wolflow trying to put their vibe onto another track, and sometimes it just doesn't hit. And for me, I really like the attempts and the risk that they took here. But I mean, I feel like out of who I think took this, Bebe really, really brought such an intense perspective, and they rode that track hard. You know what I mean? They also captivated their audience. You can tell based on how the audience responds before and after and during. I really think Bebe, they probably captivated their audience with some of their nuances that they did here, a little bit more than I feel like Wolflo did, but I really love the fact that I got to see the live versions because it helps me be able to see what changed about the crew. I think I loved some other choices that they made here way more here than whenever I saw it the first time. But I mean, guys, I love dance. I love watching people exchange. I love the energy, and it just makes me really excited that I'm in this position where I get to watch this with y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. I know with these particular reactions, I am focusing more on other aspects outside of just the content. I am comparing the analytical version of what I watched with the camera only versus the live and how things have changed. And I know a lot of you have done the same. And honestly, I feel like with some of my votes, it kind of is up in the air because of different factors and different aspects outside of just the content we're watching. But I'm really thankful for the fact that I'm able to do these, be able to discuss alongside you guys, and be able to interact with everybody in the community, both on YouTube and on Patreon. It is all so humbling for me of the fact that I'm in a position where I can actually contribute anything helpful for others who enjoy the show just like myself. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.